Right then, age-old question for us today in this lesson: is backswing important? Comment down below before we get stuck in. Do you think the backswing is an important part of the golf swing? Guys, welcome to a brand new lesson. I'm Matt Fryer, PGA professional. If this is your first lesson, firstly welcome. If it's not, welcome back to the channel. Remember to hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notification so you don't miss any future lessons on the channel. So, is the backswing important in the golf swing? It's one that's been argued many times, and there's never really been a definitive answer. We could get the camp that says no, we don't hit it with the backswing, and the other camp saying yes, you know, it sets up the downswing and sets us into impact. And I'm probably in the camp of yes, it is important, because without a backswing we've not really got a golf swing. We need to actually make the motion of a backswing, and the golf swing is that. It's a motion all the way from start to finish, which includes the backswing, the transition, the downswing and the follow through. So if we don't set up ourselves right in a good motion, if we set off on the wrong track, we're going to have a lot of manipulations on the way. And probably the top three faults I see in a backswing cause quite a few problems. Now, as we saw from that swing that I just made at the start, I made contact with the golf ball. It wasn't my best ever strike, but the problem was it would be very inconsistent for me. Now, I know there'll be people straight away saying of the year, well, Matt Wolf does it differently and Jim Furyk does it differently, but these guys are super talented, and unfortunately for us, we don't have the time or the ability as well to hit as many golf balls as they have. They've had the opportunity and worked really hard to actually grain in their sort of intricate, slightly different movements and actually master that movement, as where for us, when we're maybe only playing once a week, it's probably not going to be ideal. So let's have a look at three faults in your backswing that could be causing you issues. So number one, big problem I see in a backswing that, like I say, we're not going to be able to consistently manage and have to make the manipulations on the way down, is how we start the swing with the hands. What I see a lot of people doing when they come for lessons is either A, they roll their hands in the backswing, seeing that the face now gets really open, or B, they try to almost keep the hands very passive and see that the face doesn't do anything, there's no hinge of the wrist, and the face gets really shut. Now that's not going to be ideal. Like I say, if we roll it open, the face is going to be wide open, and I'm going to have to make a manipulation on the way down, and vice versa. If I'm too shut, I'm going to have to try and do something again on the way down to alter what I've done in that original backswing moment. Another thing that we might see is that we try to not move the arms too much, and we hear of the one piece takeaway and see that we're trying to get everything working as one, but in that movement we get nothing really happening, no lift and no fold of the arms. We get very sort of torso, chest and hip dominated, where it's here and all of a sudden I'm tied up too tight, the club's gone too inside and underneath the plane here, and then from there I'm going to be working too much across the golf ball, from either too much inside, or I'll have to throw it to try and then get back towards on plane, and chances are I'll probably overcomplicate the movement from there. And then one of the other things, obviously we hear that golf is a rotational sport and we just need to turn the shoulders, but what we see is that we don't get enough turn and, like I say, lift of the arms, and we get too much tilt of the shoulders. So we might get something where the lead shoulder now works too much down, and as we can see from there, a lot of movement in my body, get this reverse pivot going on, and then from there I'm going to have to try and recreate those movements that I make on the way in my backswing. So like I say, it is a movement and it's a motion, and it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. That's the thing. If we can try and aim to sort of pass a few checkpoints as we go through them and be very close to hitting those spots, then we should be okay. Just like I say, it's not textbook, you know. Sometimes, like in the past, I think I've even taught too much. Right, it has to be there. If it's not there, you can't hit a golf shot. But that's not the case. We might be close to it, the face might be slightly open, slightly closed, but as long as it's not wildly off plane, or we've done something excessive to the club face, we should be okay. Once we get pretty close to playing and moving the club in these channels, as I'd like to call them, we should find that we start to get some more consistency, because like I say, the bigger the fault, the bigger the manipulation. As soon as you move it off and do one thing, you're going to have to correct it on the way down. So let's just run through what I'd like to see you work towards, and like I say, make the backswing actually something of an importance in the golf swing. So as we take it away, yes, we want to get everything working as one. We want to see that the right hip, or the trail hip for me as a right-handed golfer, would start to turn a little bit. I'd want to see that my torso's turning, and I want to see that my arms are starting to move away. I don't want to see that it's arms only or torso only. We blend them all together. And what should start to happen as this motion takes place is that my lead forearm rolls a little bit here. We get some rotation of the forearm, and my trail arm is starting to fold a little bit like this. So as I get to the point where the club gets about to my waist height now, we would see that it's pretty much on my toe line here, and the club face will be mirroring somewhere near spine angle. If it's slightly toe up, that's okay. If it's a little bit too much over, like I say, as long as it's not excessive in one way. And there as well, notice how the club pretty much is in line with my hands, the club head. It's not wildly in front, it's not wildly behind. That would be a really nice point that we're trying to put through, and I'll put a circle there that as long as we hover around somewhere near there, we'd be okay. Then from there, as we move up, we would now see that we're getting this point where the arms are lifting. We should see ideally that the hands would be in the middle of the chest, and this club almost dissects my torso in half. I wouldn't want to see that it's too flat. I wouldn't want to see that it's too steep. I wouldn't want to see my hands too far in front or too far behind. As long as it's somewhere in the realm of being around here, it doesn't have to be 45 degrees exactly, it can be 47, could be 50, who knows. As we get through there, as long as it's somewhere around here, and again the face is looking pretty neutral, we should be okay. And then from there, once we get up into the top of the backswing, one big thing that I would see from a lot of people from this angle is that they try and make too long of a backswing, and we'd see that we get too far this way, overdoing it. Your backswing could only be 3/4. It will look here just short of parallel on this camera, and as long as we've made a nice wide arc on the way back, we've got enough power then and enough energy stored to create a great downswing. So like I say, as long as we're passing these points and we're not wildly off track, we should see that we get a pretty consistent backswing, and we won't have to make loads of manipulations in the downswing to try and create the correct the faults that we made in our backswing. So when you've had a go of these, and a great way to focus on this, guys, if you've got a mirror behind you, you know, your phone with the camera on it, just sort of running through it and seeing that you're hitting these checkpoints, seeing that you're getting somewhere around there and not being excessive, we should start to see that you're not having to make as many manipulations, and you should see a bit more consistency in your golf swing. If you're making big change in directions, you're glancing the ball a lot, it's going to be tough from there. So work through those points. Like I say, they are not concrete. They do not have to be pinpoint accurate. As long as you're somewhere near them, that should be okay. Give it a go, and we should see that we get a little bit more consistency from our golf game and hit a few shots with better strikes and better distances. Bit like that one, a little bit pulled, but was a lot better than the first one that we hit at the start of the lesson. So is the backswing important? Yes, I believe it is. It sets up the motion for the downswing, so if we can get it right, hopefully we should see some more consistency. So give those points a go there, guys. Watch that you're not fanning it open too much, getting real armsy or pure tilty with the shoulders, and try and just pass through those checkpoints. If you enjoyed this lesson, guys, do remember to hit that like button down below. Also remember, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future lessons to help you improve your golf. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.